Hi, and welcome to Focus on English.
This is a calm English podcast for listening and real conversations.
Hello and welcome back. It's so good to have you with us for another deep dive.
It really is.
And today is going to be a little bit different, something I'm actually really excited about.
Me too. Usually we're digging through, tech reports or scientific papers.
Exactly. But today, we're sort of turning the focus around. We're looking at you.
That's right. Specifically, we're looking at that part of your brain that's working so hard to master English. We've been looking at a lot of research on language learning to talk about a really specific and honestly a very frustrating feeling.
We're talking about the intermediate plateau.
Yeah, or what some language schools call the B1 plateau.
And if you're listening, you probably know exactly what we mean. You're not a beginner anymore.
Oh, not at all. You can get by.
You can order dinner, you can watch a movie and get the gist of it.
Yeah.
You can handle the basics just fine.
But then you just hit a wall.
Yes, the wall. And progress just feels so slow all of a sudden.
It's maybe the most common sticking point. The research is pretty clear that going from beginner to intermediate, that A1 to B1 jump, it feels fast. You're learning new things every day.
You see the progress.
Totally. But going from B1 to B2, that can feel like a very long, flat road.
It's so frustrating. You'll read an article and you know every single word in a sentence, but you still feel like you're missing the real meaning.
Right. You're missing the joke.
Yeah. And that is the worst feeling.
It is. It's like you have all the pieces, but you can't quite put them together. And what we found is that the missing link, it usually isn't more grammar.
No, it's not about memorizing more rules. It's about culture. It's about nuance. It's about idioms.
Precisely. That's the secret code we're talking about. These little phrases that native speakers use all the time where the meaning isn't, literal at all.
They're like little stories packed into a few words. And that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to give you a shortcut over that plateau. We've picked out 5 essential idioms that can really unlock that next level of fluency.
And when you start using these, you stop sounding like a textbook and you start sounding more like yourself.
Okay, let's jump in. The first one is a classic, and it deals with something really, really fundamental. Trust.
Right, or more specifically, how we lose trust. The phrase is to cry wolf.
Cry wolf. It sounds so dramatic, and it comes from a really old story, right? One of Aesop's fables.
It's ancient, yeah, and the story is key to understanding what it means. It's about a young shepherd boy who's bored. He's out watching the sheep all alone, and he wants some attention.
So what does he do?
He shouts. He runs toward the village screaming, "Wolf! Wolf! A wolf is attacking the sheep."
And the villagers.
Well, they're good people. They hear him. They grab whatever they can, and they run up the hill to help. They get there totally out of breath. And the boy is just sitting there laughing.
Oh,
No, wolf. He just thought it was funny.
That is not a nice kid.
Not at all. So, of course, a few days later, he does it again. Wolf! Wolf! The villagers, a bit annoyed this time, they still run up to help. And again, nothing.
I can see where this is going.
You can, because the third time, a real wolf shows up.
And the boy screams his head off. For real this time.
He's terrified. But the villagers down in the town, they just hear him and shake their heads. They think, oh, there he goes again.
So nobody comes?
Nobody comes. So to cry wolf doesn't just mean to lie. This is important. It means to raise a false alarm so many times that nobody believes you when there's a real emergency.
That's a great distinction. It's specifically about creating panic when there's no reason to panic.
Exactly. Think about it at work. We've all had that coworker, let's call him Dave.
Right. Everyone knows a Dave.
And for Dave, every little thing is a total disaster. The printer's out of paper.
Yeah.
It's a catastrophe. All work has to stop.
The Dave sounds exhausting.
He is. And after a while, you just tune him out. When he says it's an emergency, you don't even look up. So you might say to a friend, don't worry about Dave. He's just crying wolf again.
It's such a powerful phrase. You're basically saying, this isn't worth our energy.
But it can also be a warning, to yourself. If you complain about small things all the time, you might be crying wolf. And then when you have a real problem, no one will take you seriously.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Save your alarms for real fires. Don't cry wolf. Let's stick with the animal theme for a minute.
English loves its animal idioms.
It really does.
Yeah.
So cry wolf is about a false alarm. What about a false threat? Someone who seems dangerous but really isn't.
I know just the one. You're talking about someone who is all bark and no bite.
I love that one. You can immediately picture it.
You can, can't you?
I just think of a tiny little dog behind a big fence making the loudest, scariest noise you've ever heard. It sounds like a monster.
But if you actually opened the gate,
It would probably run and hide, or just, lick your hand.
that is the perfect image. The idiom describes someone who sounds aggressive or threatening, but they're actually harmless. They talk a big game, but they won't follow through.
It feels like something you'd say to calm someone down, right?
Yeah.
To reassure them.
Yes, exactly. It's a way to de-escalate. Imagine you get a new boss, and he's always shouting, sending these angry emails in all caps. Sales have to double by tomorrow or else.
Okay, everyone's terrified.
Everyone but the one person who's been there for years. She just leans back in her chair and tells everyone, relax. He's all bark and no bite.
And that just changes everything. You're saying this person is loud, but they're not actually powerful. There's no substance there.
Is it always about threats, though? Or can it be about, ability?
That's a good question. It can be. Think about a rival sports team. There's one player who's always trash-talking, saying how he's going to score 10 goals.
Okay.
But then the game starts, and he's terrible. He can't even kick the ball straight. He was all bark and no bite.
So it's about empty words. The words are loud, but there's no action behind them.
Spot on. And for you listening, using this phrase shows you understand the difference between how someone seems and who they really are.
That actually leads perfectly into our next idiom. We're still talking about this gap between appearance and reality.
Right. We make these snap judgments all the time.
Hmm.
We see something or someone, and we decide what they're like in a split second.
Which, makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. Is that a predator? Run.
Yeah.
But today, it gets us into trouble.
And there's a very, very famous idiom for this. I think you've probably heard it. But we want to talk about how to use it naturally. It's don't judge a book by its cover.
Definitely one of the most common idioms out there. It's almost a cliche.
It is. But let's unpack it. Because it's not just about be nice to people.
No, it's deeper. The simple meaning is clear. Don't decide something's value just based on how it looks on the outside.
We see this on TV talent shows all the time. You know that moment. Someone walks on stage, maybe they look really shy or their clothes are a bit old-fashioned, and you can see the audience kind of rolling their eyes.
They're judging the book by its cover.
Exactly. And then they open their mouth to sing. And it's the most incredible voice you've ever heard. And everyone is just stunned. They were completely wrong.
But here's the thing. It works both ways. A really beautiful cover can hide a pretty terrible story.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
Think about a restaurant.
Okay.
You're walking down the street and you see this place. It's got fancy lights, expensive-looking tables. Everything looks perfect. You think, wow, the food here must be amazing.
You're judging the book by its cover.
Yes. And then you go in and the food is just awful and expensive. Meanwhile, that little place next door, the one with the plastic chairs,
Hole in the wall.
that's the one. It has the best food in the city.
So how do you use this in conversation without sounding like you're giving a lecture?
Good point. You usually use it when you're surprised when your own assumption was proven wrong. Say you go to buy a very old, cheap car. It looks rusty. The paint is peeling. You're thinking, this thing is junk.
You're skeptical.
Very. But then you start the engine and it runs perfectly. It's smooth. It's fast. You turn to your friend and say, wow, I guess you really can't judge a book by its cover.
It's like you're admitting you were wrong. It shows a bit of humility.
Right? Now.
Yeah.
So sometimes you try to look past the cover. You open the book.
Yeah.
But you just can't understand it. You can't get inside.
I think I know where you're going with this. Some people and some problems are just difficult to figure out.
Exactly. We call them a hard nut to crack.
I love these kinds of idioms. You can feel this one. If you've ever tried to open a walnut without the right tool, you know that frustration.
Totally. So we use this for two main things, people and problems. Let's start with people. What makes a person a hard nut to crack?
It's usually that they're emotionally closed off. They don't give you anything. It's not that they're mean. They're just unreadable.
Imagine a new person starts at your job. They do their work well, but they never smile. They never make small talk. If you ask, how are you? They just say, fine. And that's it.
A total mystery.
A total mystery. You try to be friendly, but you get nothing back. You might tell another colleague, I just can't figure him out. He's a really hard nut to crack.
That's a perfect example. You're saying he has a protective shell that's difficult to get through.
Right. Now, what about problems? Can a math equation be a hard nut to crack?
Absolutely. A really difficult puzzle. A mysterious bug in a computer code. A detective trying to solve a very old case. All of those are hard nuts to crack.
It implies that there is an answer inside. There's something valuable in the nut.
Right, it's not impossible.
but it's going to take a lot of effort to get to it.
Exactly.
Okay. This brings us to our last phrase for today. So we have this person who's a hard nut to crack. The big question is, can they change?
The big philosophical debate. And this final idiom, well, it has a pretty strong opinion on that, it would say. Probably not.
And what's the phrase?
The phrase is, a leopard can't change its spots.
We're back to the animals.
We are. The logic is simple, right? A leopard is born with spots. It will always have spots. It can't just decide one day to wash them off and become a tiger. It's fundamental to what it is.
So when we use this about people, we're saying their character is fundamental. It's fixed.
Yeah, we usually use it when someone repeats a negative behavior, especially after they promised they would change.
Okay, let's try an example. I have a friend who's always, and I mean always, late.
Okay, that's frustrating.
It is. And every time she says, I'm so sorry. I promise I've changed. I'm going to be on time from now on.
And you, being a good friend, you give her another chance. You make dinner plans.
And an hour late, again.
Of course. At that point, you're not even surprised anymore. You're just disappointed. You'd shake your head and say to yourself, well, a leopard can't change its spots.
It does sound a little cynical, a bit pessimistic.
It is. It's a bit fatalistic. It suggests that someone's basic nature is set. Now, people can change, but this idiom is for those moments when they just keep proving they haven't.
So it's a way to manage your own expectations, to stop being disappointed.
That's a great way to put it. You accept them for who they are, spots and all.
And using a phrase like that shows a kind of wisdom about people. Sounds very natural, very native.
And that's the goal with all of these, isn't it? To communicate a deeper understanding, not just words.
So let's just quickly recap the 5 keys we've unlocked today.
First up was cry wolf. That's for someone who keeps raising false alarms.
Then we had all bark and no bite for someone who seems threatening but is actually harmless.
Third was don't judge a book by its cover. A great reminder to look deeper than surface appearances.
Fourth, hard nut to crack for a person who's difficult to understand or a problem that's tough to solve.
And finally, a leopard can't change its spots. For when you realize someone's fundamental nature isn't going to change.
The amazing thing is that when you use these, you're not just making a sentence, you're telling a tiny story. You're creating a connection.
And that is exactly how you get past that B1 plateau. You start thinking in these bigger concepts.
Now, we really want you to take these and make them your own. We don't want this to just be passive listening.
You have to actually use the keys.
So here's a little invitation. Just pick one of these idioms, the one you like the most. Maybe you have a boss who is all bark and no bite.
Or maybe a friend who's a bit of a hard nut to crack.
Whatever it is, try to write one single sentence using that idiom in the comments section. Or if you can't do that, just say it out loud to yourself right now. Connect it to a real person or a real memory in your life.
And please don't worry about perfect grammar or spelling. That's not the point. The goal is just to make that connection.
That's the real secret. Thank you so much for diving in with us today. It's always a pleasure to explore these things with you.
Keep going. Every one of these phrases you learn is a step forward. You've got this.
We'll see you in the next deep dive. Take care.
Thank you for listening. If this podcast helps you practice English, feel free to subscribe. See you next time.